Good evening. We have a good number assembled tonight. I believe we're getting back on track as far as the numbers are concerned. This past Sunday, there were 536 present at our auditorium, 536. I have the following individuals. Please add these individuals as far as families are concerned. Please add the family of Darlene Elkins Garland to your prayer list. Miss Darlene passed away Monday, grandmother of Mandy Underwood and Monica Spiceland. The funeral is scheduled for 2 o'clock on Saturday. The funeral will be 2 o'clock Saturday. Visitation will be from 10 until 2 at the J.H. Churchill Funeral Home. Mr. Howard Steele passed away early this morning. For individuals who were not aware, arrangements are incomplete. As soon as they are available, I will make those as public as I can. Of course, continue to please add Frida as well as Anna Lou and the whole family to your prayer list. Sammy Pittman was transferred to the hospice house, husband of Dora Pittman, and I tried to get a hold of Dora today and could not do so. I'm not sure about his condition, but please add the family to your prayer list. Chad Taylor, brother of Bridget Grogan, his treatment for brain tumor was not successful. They're trying to get him to MD Anderson, and so please be prayerful for Chad Taylor. And Cassie Goode, G-O-O-D-E, daughter of Kent and Diana Hale, will be having eye surgery, major eye surgery this Friday, March 12th in Rochester, Minnesota. And finally, I don't believe Carl's with us tonight, but Carl will be having quadruple bypass. Carl Smith in the morning, the Mercy Health Hospital in Paducah. And Pat Rogers will be having back surgery on March 25th. And we do want to remind you this, ladies' Bible class will take place this coming Tuesday at 10:30 in the east end of the multipurpose room. FBS registration forms are on the table, the youth table, back of the commons area. If you are planning to participate FBS, please pick up a form and return that to Jacob. Congratulations. Callie Faye Houston, daughter of Taylor and Chelsea Houston, was born March 9th, weighed 7 pounds and 8 ounces, was 19 3/4 inches long. Keith and Amy Houston, the grandparents, and Betty Ryan's great-grandmother. And also this coming Sunday, we'll be honoring Elizabeth Parker and Cameron Perry on their upcoming wedding. You may leave gifts on the table in the commons area, as well as there'll be baskets for cards and a money gift. And if you notice, it is in your handout. They are registered at Walmart and Amazon. Blood drive, and I think I had that wrong. That's the 21st. That will be a week from Sunday that table and the gift will be taken up. Blood drive is for next Wednesday evening from 5 until 8. Next Wednesday evening, 5 until 8. James is in the commons area and the back table. If you can sign up for being able to participate, that would be extremely helpful. And the time change this coming Saturday, we spring forward. And our closing prayer, Seth Grogan, will lead us in our closing prayer as well as we're dismissed from our classes. Derek?
There they are. Our God, He is alive. There is beyond the azure blue a God concealed from human sight. He tinted skies with heavenly hue and framed the worlds with His great might. There is a God, He is alive. In Him we live and we survive. From dust our God created man. He is our God, the great I am. There was a long, long time ago a God whose voice the prophets heard. He is the God that we should know, who speaks from His inspired word. There is a God, He is alive. In Him we live and we survive. From dust our God, created man, He is our God, the great I am. Our God who sung upon a tree, a life was willing there to give, that He from sin might set man free, and evermore with Him could live. There is a God, He is alive, in Him we live and we survive. From dust our God created man, He is our God, the great I am. Peace be still. He says, peace, peace be still. Lifts his hand, peace be still. Like a child, the winds obey Him. When He says, peace be still, He says, come follow me, leads the way, come follow me. Like a lamb, I stay close by Him. When He says, come follow me, He says, see and believe. Touch my wounds, see and believe. Like a friend, my spirit trusts Him. When He says, see and believe.
His first day of the new semester, a philosophy professor put this big jar on top of a table. Then he took a box full of golf balls and he filled that jar up. And he asked his class, he said, is the jar full? And the students, they said yes. So he set the golf balls down, and then he got out another bucket, but it had small pebbles in it. And so he starts to pour those small pebbles into that same jar, and he rattles it around so that they can find their way in. And then he puts that bucket down. He says, is this jar full now? And his students say yes. Well, then he leaps down again, and he comes up with a little box of sand. And he pours the sand in there, and again he shakes that jar, and he lets the sand fall to wherever it'll go. And he sets it down, and he asks the students, is this jar now full? They hesitantly say yes. And then he bends over again, and the whole class just starts laughing. And he comes up, and he has in his hand 2 cups of coffee. And so he pours one, and he pours another, and he sets them down. Is the jar full now? And they say, yes. He explains to them, he says, now imagine this jar is your life. The golf balls in there are the most important things in your life, such as God, church, your family, your wife or husband and children, your health. The pebbles are things that you possess, like your house, your car. You can put your job in there and various other things. The sand, well, the sand represents the small things. He said, what happens, however, is that in our jars of life, we begin with the sand. All the little small nagging things. And we leave no room for the bigger things. And so he told him, he said, be sure that when you fill the jar of your life that you begin with the golf balls, followed by the pebbles, the sand, and so forth. Well, one student raised their hand and said, well, what does the coffee represent? He said, that's a good question. He said, the coffee represents the reality that no matter how busy you are, you can always stop and have a cup of coffee with a friend. And so he taught him kind of a life lesson. Now, the book of Proverbs, chapter 4, verse 26 says, ponder the path of your feet and let all your ways be established. Several years ago, when I was working in another ministry where I worked primarily with college-age students, one of the things I advised one on one occasion, because she was in nursing, the nursing program at Western Kentucky, which I understand nursing programs, period, is just one of the most difficult degrees to obtain. So she was spending a lot of time studying. She was spending a lot of time in her classes and her labs and all the things that she had to do. And she just felt overwhelmed. And I gave her a piece of advice that to her was very odd. I said, why don't you put God first and then work on all these other things? She said, well, when I have the time, I'll be at church, but I've got to focus on this. And that's how a lot of people live. God, if we have time in our calendar, we fit him in. When it should be, God is first, and if I have time, everything else will come. Now, obviously, tonight, you have opted to put God first as best you can. That doesn't make us any superior to those who are not here, but it's definitely something that we should be encouraging. And sometimes following God comes at a bit of a price. There was this one occasion where David was going to buy a field, and as he approached where that field was, he wanted to buy it, but the guy who owned it was just going to give it to him. And David said, I will not take anything for the Lord unless it costs me. So he wasn't willing to take a piece of donated land that was going to be used for God's glory, but he said, no, that's not how it is. I will pay for what this is going to be for God. He refused to just take it easy. And sometimes we want Christianity to be easy. And sometimes we allow it to become easy so that it's no longer the golf balls of our life, but it can become a pebble. It can even become a sand, a grain of sand. And so we need to, I hope, remind our brothers and sisters, and this will be a good project for all of us. Folks are getting their vaccines now. I think that's building a lot of confidence for many people. And probably, as a lot of projections say, by the end of May, the most vulnerable will have received a lot of their vaccines. So go ahead and start calling now. I've talked to 2 people today who said, once I get my second vaccine, I'm going to be back at church. The other one said, yes, once I get my vaccine, I'm going to be back at church. Because these are folks that had health concerns, and they've stayed away for that. And as wonderful as our radio and our live stream has been, I think we have to confess the fact that for some people, that can become what it is. So let's encourage our brothers and sisters to not just let Christianity be something you do on a Sunday morning, sipping on your coffee, sitting in your pajamas, but let's encourage them to assemble with the saints. We're getting closer and closer to where that's hopefully a reality for everybody. But let's definitely say, hey, Let's remember those golf balls. Let's remember what really matters in life. Nothing else. If you get a degree or don't get a degree, God's still important. If you get the position or you don't get the position, God's still first. And so let's strive to not only in our own lives make God first, but let's encourage our brothers and sisters toward the same as well. This is the thought I leave with you. But if we have anyone who would wish to respond to the invitation, you can come forward as we stand and sing.
You and me, let us haste, oh haste to his spring. 'Tis the fount of love from the source above, and he bids us all freely drink. Will you come to the fountain free? Will you come? 'Tis for you and me, thirsty soul. Hear the welcome call. 'Tis a fountain open for all. There's a living stream with a crystal gleam. From the throne of life now it flows. While the waters roll and the weary soul hear the call and forth freely goes. Will you come to the fountain free? Will you come? 'Tis for you and me, thirsty soul. Hear the welcome call. 'Tis a fountain open for all. There's a rock that's cleft, and no soul is left that may not its pure water share. 'Tis for you and me, and its stream I see. Let us hasten joyfully there. Will you come to the fountain free? Will you come? 'Tis for you and me, thirsty soul. Hear the welcome call. 'Tis a fountain open for all.
Father in heaven, we thank you for the blessings that you've given us. We especially thank you for your Son who died on the cross for forgiveness of our sins. And we lift you up as Creator, as Savior, as King. We honor you for what you have done for us. We give you glory for what you are. And we pray that we can be servants of